Yo. This story is imaginary. Happened fairly recently and was recalled mostly within a day or so, but the recall slowly came through in a little bit more bits and pieces within about 7 days total, and gave it a little while after that just to check nothing else was going to come through, and there was a little bit of just like a pattern recognition thing after a while, and once that sort of came through, I felt like I was able to proceed with this video once I was ready and able to, and here we are. So yeah, the other night I had the option to leave my body at around 2 AM in the morning, which is unusual for me. It felt comfortable though, and I chose to stay in my body, and I feel like, yeah, I don't know, that's just what I did. At this point I didn't understand the reason for me being called to this random place where I was, but yeah, it was becoming clear at this point in time, in the middle of the night, out in the bush. So yeah, it was kind of this ebbing and flowing of energy, which was unusual, but fairly comfortable. Nothing too outrageous or beyond my ability to be reasonably chilled out with, and it's just unusual, that's all. And I was noticing it, and just kind of sitting there looking around, and a couple of times already I've sort of been just looking around, and I'd turn and like I'd sort of see through into another dimension sort of thing, very close by, but very sort of different, like a different world. Not extremely different, still very earthy and like similar, but same but different. And I sort of turn, see it, and then be like, oh, and then like turn back and just be in the normal place again. And that happened maybe once or twice, and yeah, I think that was after I was just laying down and had this, I don't know, I was just turning in a little bit and trying to get to sleep as you do in the middle of the night, especially when it's been, you know, a few hours when you've been laying around waiting for sleep and it wasn't happening. So yeah, had this option to leave the body thing happen, and I was like, okay, it was just something going on, but at that point still unsure what it was, but just sort of, you know, I was awake and just present and going with it, whatever it was. And so I looked sort of in front of me and down towards the ground, and it seemed like there was this kind of large bench, like a seat, a bit hollow in the middle, like a kind of rectangle, and like kind of looked at that and went, oh. And it seemed like there was this guy inside, sort of like he'd crawled in, maybe backwards, just like crawled in there and huddled down and just was like really squished in. If you ever seen the animation In Shadow, it was reminiscent of just like those weird cubes that are around people's heads, but it was like around his whole body and like laying down. But yeah, like hunched in there. So yeah, when I saw him, I was like, oh, hey. Immediately recognised, you know, the situation, and I said, no, you don't have to stay there. And he had this young male energy to him, very clear and quite, you know, pure, I guess, like a, you know, a stream with water that's you know, see-through, quite yeah, you get the picture. And yeah, he must have heard me or whatever, or seen me, or recognised that I was around. He seemed to become very excited. I don't know if he knew I was coming or whatever, but he seemed like pleased to see me and happy to do this thing, and possibly knew more than I did, or had no idea like I did, who knows. These sorts of things tend to happen fairly quickly, and yeah, you just sort of roll with whatever feels appropriate to do at the time, or not do, or whatever. So yeah, it was occurring to me why exactly I'd been called up, to this place, which is, a long distance from where I normally sort of hang out and be. And yeah, it's basically to do another soul retrieval. And the last one I did was probably, well over a decade ago. And I travelled and was exhausted, and that's its own sort of story. But this was kind of just another one of those, and similar situation. I had no idea what I was doing, but it became clear once I got to this certain place that I was called to. And when these sorts of things happen, I tend to just follow the call and just trust that it's going to work itself out, whatever goes on. And even if I don't understand it with my mind, it's more of a feeling thing, and just following that. So anyway, this young man was crawling out from under the bench and recognising me there, and usually at this point, he was excited and ready to go. Usually I'd have this sequence of harmony come to me and just repeat that in my mind's ear, so to speak. And 3 times is usually the golden ticket for them to exit whatever dimension they're, hanging out, kind of stuck in or trapped in, if you will, and take off. And then basically my job is pretty much done. So if you've ever studied astral projection material and books and all that sort of thing, it's basically one of the very first things that people do once they start getting out of their body and cruising around, not in a lucid dream, but in a literal another dimension, as a just a little core kind of dot of awareness, a little point. It's usually got 360 vision. Maybe that's variable at times, but in any case, it's a very tangible sort of feeling, and you maintain a clear state of normal lucid consciousness as you do during normal waking life in the physical world. So this dude was ready to go, and instead of this this simple, almost like a little glockenspiel or piano melody, it's usually just one note sort of bouncing around that you repeat 3 times. Instead of that, it was this really beautiful trance, electronic music-ish kind of vibing techno maybe track that started kind of playing in my mind's ear. Very fresh, it seemed very recent and melodic and atmospheric and light and ethereal. So that was cool to hear some of that internally, which is a very strange sensation. It's it's not coming from outside, and yet you can hear it, but it's not crystal clear like in ordinary, playing sound through a sound system, that sort of thing. It's a bit muted and a lot more sort of nuanced and subtle, but definitely there. And that was his sort of thing, so that was cool for me. And there was sort of like a synesthesia or mind's eye image to go with it, and his body kind of became like surrounded by this blue something or other. It almost looked like a soft fractal cloud, of energy, I suppose, and somewhat messy, but very beautiful and quite stable. It wasn't moving around or doing weird things. It was just kind of like there in the center of my vision. And I'm just sitting there with my eyes open and just looking right at this. And to say it's unusual and out of the ordinary is a fairly accurate statement. These things, they do happen, but just not very often, and I'm kind of thankful for that. But this one was a lot easier than in the past, because the previous one I was just so extremely exhausted, and like in this case too, but different. I've been taking care of myself a lot better than I was back then. So I had some Santo Palo with me, some of this which a friend had given me before I left on my journey, and I kind of was wanting to bring some with me but couldn't find a good stash around. I knew I had some but I didn't know where. And I asked him, I knew he had some, and he got me a stick or two, and I said, well, he gave me one, and I said, would you mind if I had two? And he's like, yeah, here's another one, so this is a fresh one, and I said I'd burn one for him, so yeah, this is for you, bro. You know who you are, and just huge thanks again for this wonderful cleansing tool. I guess I've come to realise is what Santo Palo really is, and what it's used for, and how it really is so efficient that you don't even need to, it's like it has its own intention of clearing. You don't really need to do any mental gymnastics to get it to work. It just, you light it and it does its thing. And so normally I would, with these, I like to use a jet lighter, and just, it smells like coconut. It's a wonderful, gentle, kind of warm smell, or scent. And yeah, I like to get a flame going on it, and yeah, so it's got a little fire happening, and I usually just wriggle it out. Sometimes I blow it out, and yeah, get it just like a nice ember happening. And then if I'm going to cleanse myself or a space, but you know, generally it's myself, because you know, you and the space around you, like, what is the difference? So yeah, I'll just generally hold it up around my third eye area, and then go like right over the crown, kind of like you're brushing your astral hair or your soul hair, or you know, like you've got extra, they're called mokshas or something, like these energy sheaths that surround the physical body but are generally invisible, and just like running the Santo Palo through that just a few times, and you'll feel it, or at least I feel it, and notice, yeah, a great difference. And it just sort of, it's like a cool breeze on a hot day. It just clears all the muck and gunk away from whatever's been clogging up your mental machinery. So yeah, very valuable tool, and I'm very blessed to be able to have that with me, because it turned out that this was the, I don't know, travel mode of preference for this particular soul. And I had the intuition, I guess, where I lit it and it was on fire, and I may have blown it out a couple of times. I usually do it a few times and get a good ember happening, like light it, let it go out, and yeah, at some point in that process I got, yeah, this message to just light it and just leave it. And so I set it, and I had a flame, and I just sort of held it and watched it, and there was this blue flame around it, which is normally orange, but this one was blue, again matching the color sort of symbol that I saw, you know, sort of representing the energy of this young man. And I suppose he kind of jumped in, because I mean, that would explain the color of the flame, and it was kind of round and just very stable for, normally it would have gone out by then, but it was stable for quite a while. And then I watched it, and it kind of went out, but as it was going out, it traveled up, and then you'd see that form like a smaller blue, like a little ball or a dot, and just sort of float up quite quick in like the direction of the Santo Palo that it was pointing in. Like the stick, it just kind of went like that. And I watched it again, totally clear, still in my body with my eyes open, and I'd never seen anything like that in my life, and it was yeah, something really special, because I'd understood at the time exactly what had happened, and just thought it was such a cool way to check out and go somewhere else, you know. So yeah, I didn't blow it out, you know, I just allowed it out, and that was important somehow. Yeah, so he rode that flame up high, and he was gone and free. You know, that's how it works sometimes, I guess. I don't know, I'm pretty new to all this stuff. And anyway, I was just sort of having a moment and sitting there and chilling, and I just, you know, place the Santo Palo down on the bench near me, and it goes out real quick. It only sort of has an ember and smoke coming off it for, you know, I lit this before, and it's already, you know, there's nothing there, you can touch it, it's out. So that was out, put it down, just sort of sitting there chilling, like, that was, yeah, interesting. And I'm just looking, and like that bench thing is still there in front of me, which wasn't there in my ordinary physical reality, but this bench was still there. And then I noticed this like scraggly, crinkled female form of like an old woman sort of crawl out from the same kind of place, but hidden deeper inside the bench somehow, which didn't make any sense because it seemed like you could only fit one person in there. Anyway, out she crawls, real slow and sort of like looking around, and I'm like, oh. So yeah, I was just like, you know, lit up a smoke, gave thanks for tobacco, and I was just like, you be gone, like get out of it. Bye now. And she disappeared in a real hurry. Not quite as elegantly as the first guy, but yeah, she took off. And I was glad that she was out of the space that I was in, because, you know, technically one might consider it to have been haunted. Whatever, it's just a word, but you know, that's my experience, and it sort of explains in a lot more detail. So I feel like just saying it was haunted is a bit of a disservice to my actual experience, which I feel is worthy of I don't know, sharing, just because it's so out of the ordinary and so rare, but so actually well studied if you actually research into the topic of astral projection, which I have done a lot. So I'm pretty fortunate that I can handle these things comfortably and understand what is happening at the time, but it's kind of like my mind just gets out of the way, and maybe that's part of the process of like traveling a long distance to get there. Is it just you know, it clears my head when I'm on the road, and just me in the car, and you know, just going and going and going without really understanding why or what for, but just, you know, following that call. So yeah, another good grounding thing if you're feeling a bit spacey is just a bit of salt, good quality salt. I've got some just on the back of my knuckles just because I've been having it, and you know, just getting a nice flavour of that on my tongue, and if it's a bit much, chase it with some water, and yeah, good electrolytes, good to keep your brain channels clear for the electrical signals to flow nice and cleanly, which you tend to not even realise when it's mucked up, because it's mucking up your ability to realise. So yeah, to just remember to do that and remind yourself every now and then, and just carry it with you, is a very valuable tool as well. Yeah, so the scraggly, crinkled old female woman, I suppose, soul, she was gone, and then there was still a couple of these brief windows into other dimensions happening, sort of just turning and seeing into somewhere and being like, you know, that's weird, still going on, but whatever, turning back and it's back to normal. But yeah, something, I don't know, something strange happened later to do with that as well. But yeah, I mean, after both of those souls left, this shield appeared, and that was the impression I got. It was kind of this translucent energy, like slightly bluish, and you could kind of see it, really. It was like mind's eye, but also quite physical, and it just sort of came and then just like hovered around me, and I was like, oh, what is this? And it kind of had the signature of my channel, like a channel to higher dimensions, and felt comfortable and cozy, and it was like the message was, this is like a shield, a protective shield, because you're always like open and maybe leaky with energy, or just not, you know, having rough experiences and not real protected, and sort of forgetting to do protection and not really convinced that it's necessary anyway. But whatever. Yeah, basically it was like kind of a bell-shaped energy thing, and associated with this channel that I'm used to from writing music, but different, and I kept having this sort of like, it seems really close, like it, but it's different, it has a different quality, and so I'm not really sure, and it's like sort of hovering, and it was kind of got the message like, this is for you, like a gift, and like you can just use it whenever you want, you don't have to have it on all the time, but it's like maybe, and it's sort of like, is it active all the time if I'm not consciously sort of wearing it, or is it just going to be stuck on me forever, and like what if I don't like it, or it doesn't fit properly, or it falls off or something? And had a lot of questions about that and had nothing to reference from past research into these sorts of things, especially while still in your physical body. So yeah, that was that. In any case, I kind of had a bit of concern for just making too much noise at that time of morning, but felt like I had the soul of a friend, I guess, who just I'd only just recently met, but who was part of the call for me to come up in the first place. And it felt like she appeared and understood what was going on and was appreciative of me being there and basically reassuring me that I was fine and to just be myself and to stay relaxed and calm, and that I was doing very well. So that was wonderful. Thank you to that particular soul. I do appreciate that. Usually with these things, when you're communicating with people's souls who you know, it can seem like it all happens in your imagination, but certain things can be verified later on regarding what information goes on during those exchanges, or I guess astral conversations. And often the person themselves won't consciously be aware of anything having taken place, like they're asleep in bed at the time, but the soul is cruising around doing things as they do when we go to sleep every night, if we do sleep every night. In any case, I decided I might step out for a smoke. It was 3:03 a.m. and I generally find 3 a.m. is the quietest time of day in my usual experience. Nice and peaceful. Everyone's like deeply at rest and asleep, and very relaxing and calm energy-wise, which I find it soothing to experience, and generally always appreciate it. So stepped outside. I was indoors at the time. Stepped out, had a smoke with me. And there's like a little clearing, and then this dense bush, very dense, where you can't walk through. There's no tracks or anything, and it's not a regular, there's no access through there to anywhere in particular. It's just jungle, but not original jungle, sort of cleared and then regrown, and wild area. And it's very dark, pretty much pitch black. Aside from the moon, it was a half moon, like exactly half, and just very low ambient light from I guess the lights and candles in my room where I was staying at the time. So within 10 seconds of me stepping out, I heard this sound coming from in the bush. You couldn't see a thing, but you could hear it, and it was very loud, and there was not the usual silence. This thing was making these noises, which I don't want to repeat. I could sort of do an impression, but it's so disgusting and just like vulgar, I suppose, that not worth really repeating. But if you could imagine like some weird crazy bush animal that's like the combination of a donkey and an elephant and like a wild boar and maybe something or other else, not the usual animal sounds. And like sometimes you travel places and there'll be just a random thing that you've never experienced before, and it turns out it was like a wallaby the next day or something. So I figured it was maybe something like that, except it kept carrying on for like a fair moment, and then like that shield thing I mentioned basically disappeared. I was wondering if it could go around the whole building, and then it just sort of went whoosh, and it was gone. It went out, in front of me in the direction of the bush, but basically vanished. And then this thing was carrying on like a wild, not too friendly or pleasant character of an animal or beast or whatever it was. And I got the message like, we don't know what to do at this point. KSM, you're on your own, and maybe go back inside. So I went back inside and closed the door and went back to chill, and be next to my candle and my smokes and Santo Paulo, and settle myself and do some breathing and a little bit of cleansing probably. Yeah, so not long after that I found myself just staring at the Santo Palo burning on the bench, and the smoke coming off it was very thick and there was quite a lot of it, and like around the edges of the smoke it was kind of coming up and floating around, and it had all these like letters. They looked like written letters sort of scattered and throughout, like almost like a mesh wrapped around the smoke, just floating around, and very distinct edges and shapes and whatnot, but basically some kind of like a visual glossolalia, if you can imagine that, and quite something to look at, and kind of I was almost in a trance staring at it until I sort of shook my head a bit and I was like, what is the deal with this? And then had the thought in my head, like, if you've got Santo Palo just burning away, it's the middle of the night and you're feeling a little bit tired and exhausted and whatnot, which I was, maybe like make sure it goes out before you keep chilling and turn in and relax and just get yourself more settled. So I took another look, I sort of looked up and had that thought and then looked back down, and like the Santo Palo wasn't lit, and I hadn't lit it, and it hadn't been lit since 5-10 minutes previously. I don't know, a good moment, like enough for it to have gone out, and when I looked back down at it, it was completely out and there was no smoke. So I was basically just like, that was trippy and weird and strange. So yeah, haven't seen anything like it before, and I felt comfortable enough looking at it. It's just I didn't really realize I was kind of in a trance of sorts, and that it wasn't something, physically I had my eyes open staring at it, but it wasn't something, it must have been another dimensional shift that I didn't notice shifting to perceive. So I switched out of that pretty much without any sideways motion. It just sort of cut out, and after that I was laying down and drifting to sleep, or at least attempting to get ready to go to sleep, and looking forward to it, but I was charging all my devices because reasons, and just to have music always available for something big planned the next day, where I'd be able to bring music with me, which I always love to do out in nature or whenever I go cruising around doing stuff. So yeah, was watching one of my speakers charging, and depending on how much power you put into it, it'll charge with like a slow flash or like a really fast flash, and it's better with a slow flash because it gets like a slower charge and it holds charge for longer, whereas the fast flash is the fast charge and it'll drain the battery faster. So I always prefer to do it slowly when I've got time, and be able to get the maximum battery life, which is something that is very helpful for me often at times, because I don't like to just run drive music suddenly, and in the middle of doing something I tend to get just disoriented and not know what's happening until the music either comes back on, or I get some charge happening, or just load up another speaker which I've got in reserve, and I've learned that it's useful to carry extras around. And I'd sort of look at the charge and just confirm it was going, and like reasonably slow, and then look away and it would go really fast in the corner of my eye, and then I'd look back and focus on it and it would be going fairly slow, and I'd look away and then the corner of my eye it's going really fast again, and it's like just what to make of it, who knows. But that was one thing that I seem to be perceiving, but again it's all sort of things are a bit choppy changey with the whole reality situation at that point. It was just shrugs, like whatever, it's charging, it'll play music, I'm happy. So I had the intuition to just take a stimulant to go to sleep, and just one, and I'd been taking heaps to just power through travelling and getting around and functioning and being focused on the road, which requires a lot of attention. So I had a huge tolerance, and I thought, I'm ready for sleep, but I trusted the intuition, so I just took one of these things, and within 15 minutes or so I just cruised off to a nice, gentle, soothing sleep, and was able to stay asleep until the next day. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, just wanted to share that. It's a reasonably quick story, and considering everything that happened, I appreciate the fact that it kind of condenses down into something that I was able to make sort of dot point notes and keep track of it all and bring it back with me in memory, and be able to share that. So yeah, there it is. And yeah, if you ever experience similar things, feel free to let us know in the comments and share your, just a brief description of things and your impression of things, because I'm always interested to read about it and hear about it, and sort of map similarities and find common threads between different perspectives, and sort of like hone in on the truth of what's happening, and be able to have a fairly confident understanding of the process, and that it's not just something you're imagining that one might be accused of by others, or whatever, just that sort of thing. Just a confidence in your experience without necessarily having to rely on outside validation or anyone's approval for the fact that it did happen. And it's something that there's very little emotional sentimentality or anything much to do with it. It's just like, it's almost like a different part of life. It's like you do your normal life in your physical body, but then you've got this other thing that goes on sometimes. So yeah, just one of those things. I do find tobacco to be very helpful, and good quality, and affordable if possible, but whatever you've got will do. Compared to vaping, tobacco is going to be a lot more conducive to just clearing energies and grounding, basically. So there's a bit of stigma which you can just feel free to completely ignore, and sometimes propaganda in the packaging which you can just cover up or mentally rewrite to assure yourself that it's basically a very useful, and if used in a sacred manner, indeed a sacred plant, and very wonderful tool to have around for such, especially during such experiences as these, because you can't really talk to everyone about this, and most people are just going to write it off within the first 2 minutes because it sounds a little bit crazy. Yeah, so what do you expect? It's all imaginary anyway. That's pretty much it. I'll wrap this up. I've got other news and things happening, but at the moment I just wanted to clear my head of this and be able to express it all fully without having really spoken to anyone about it since it happened. So yeah, on that note, there was a time lag, and it was a little while ago but fairly recent. And I did happen to notice, because in a different location, I was able to see the moon on a regular basis, because it's nice and sun shining in the day and clear skies at night for the most part. So to be able to tell, I guess, the the position and the shape of the moon in terms of half or none or full, that sort of thing. It's pretty common to have people talk about full moon stuff, and I tend to not sleep very well on full moons, but find them as a time of year, I suppose, or a time of season or whatever of life. The full moon is quite illuminating and fine for me. It's I might not sleep, but I'll still feel okay generally. Whereas the half moon thing, there was this soul retrieval thing that happened on an exact half moon, and then waiting for any more bits and pieces to come through. I was just living a normal day, and it happened to be the very next exact half moon, and I had way more challenges than usual, and a lot more kind of like slaps in the face from my experience of just going about trying to do normal daily tasks and get things done. And it wasn't terrible, I was still able to recover and go about things sensibly without freaking out at all, and just chip away at things and eventually, achieve results. And still some things did go well, but there was a remarkable number of things that did happen that were unusually challenging for me, and just odd. So, I'm starting to get a little bit clearer picture of what's happening there, if indeed there is something happening, and to just be aware, if possible, of the timing of those things. I like to see the moon physically and have a look at it, but generally where I hang out, it's overcast and you can't see the shape or what the moon is doing exactly. It's not clear, and you could check online, but I like to see it. So it's funny to think that maybe I've missed these sorts of things for years of my life because I just didn't have easy access to visually check what the moon was up to during certain times, and sort of, I don't know, maybe it's just like a wisdom thing with a bit of age and a bit of increased awareness into what events are going on in life and what the moon is doing at that particular time. So I know it sounds flaky and a little bit off with the fairies, but that's my experience, and pretty much sums it up. So I'll leave it there. I'll see you in the next one. Things are going well. It's up and down, and it's a little bit rough here and there, but that is life. And for the majority of my experience recently, just loving it and doing my best to just get as much really good work done as possible as I can, and still have some kind of health about me and strength to and patience, obviously, to just see through all of this without any real support and feeling quite isolated and out on the edge of most people's usual experience of reality. So if you did watch this whole thing, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Many blessings. Shout out to those people I mentioned. You know who you are, and if not, I'll let you know that was you. And peace, take care, bye-bye. I had to make a note to smile, to remember to smile, which is it's, I don't know, something that I'm practicing, because I don't do it often. I'm quite just straight-faced most of the time. So anyway, something worth smiling about is this stupid t-shirt and then like this cat that's kind of upside down, and it's almost like he's playing with the necklace here, like it's a little ball. And so just do something like that as a way to bring attention to it and make myself laugh. But instead of just gone ahead and spoken it out loud, I don't know, because that's what I do sometimes. Sweet. Alright, peace.